Welcome to Blink News. In this video, we uncover 50 of the creepiest haunted places in Wisconsin where history, tragedy, and the paranormal collide. Viewer discretion is advised. Number 1. Summerwind Mansion. In the dense woods of Vilas County stood a mansion so terrifying, locals refused to even utter its name after dark Summerwind. Originally built as a quaint fishing lodge in the early 1900s, it was later transformed into a majestic home. But beneath its charm lurked something sinister. In the 1970s, the Hinshaw family moved in, full of hope. That hope quickly turned to horror. They reported shadowy figures darting through hallways. Whispers echoed from empty rooms, lights flickered on and off, doors slammed with no one behind them. But the darkest moment? When Arnold Hinshaw, the father, began to mentally unravel, playing the organ for hours, in a trance-like state as the family begged him to stop. His wife, terrified and exhausted, attempted suicide. They fled and never returned. Investigators and thrill-seekers who dared enter spoke of objects flying, footprints that led nowhere, and a basement too cold for life. Then in 1988, lightning or fate struck. The mansion mysteriously burned to the ground. No official cause was ever found. Today, only the foundation remains, buried deep in forest silence. It's now private property, but locals say when the fog rolls in, the spirits still roam. If you thought this was disturbing, just wait. The next one's even darker. Number 2. Pfister Hotel. This isn't your average haunted hotel story. It's one that Major League Baseball players fear more than a 100 miles per hour fastball. Built in 1893, the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee is stunning grand staircases, golden chandeliers, old-world charm, but beneath its luxury lies something unsettling. Over the years, terrified guests, many of them MLB stars, have fled their rooms after hearing unexplained footsteps pacing overhead, persistent knocking on doors with no one outside, and, most chilling of all, the ghostly apparition of Charles Pfister himself. He's said to silently roam the halls, watching guests with an intense, unreadable expression. Some say he's just making sure his guests are well taken care of. Others think he never really left. Either way, once the sun sets, even the bravest athletes sleep with the lights on. Number 3. Darford Cemetery. On the surface, Darford Cemetery looks like any other small town graveyard, rows of crumbling headstones, ancient oaks, and a deep silence broken only by the wind. But beneath that silence, something waits. Locals whisper the name Chief High-Knocker, a Native American leader buried here whose spirit is said to rise under moonlight. Witnesses have seen his ghost walking between graves, silent, solemn, eyes hollow with sorrow, but he's not alone. Buried nearby are soldiers from the Civil War, and their presence is anything but peaceful. Visitors report the overwhelming sense of being watched, followed, even touched. But the most terrifying phenomenon centers around the stone mausoleum. It's become a test of bravery. Sit atop it at night, they say, and something will push you off. Not a breeze, not gravity, a force, powerful, targeted, angry. Countless thrill-seekers have tried. Some left shaken, some screamed, claiming they felt hands on their backhands that weren't there. Others have seen glowing orbs hovering inches above graves, pulsing like breathing things. Cameras glitch, batteries drain. And in some cases, people leave with deep scratches on their skin, marks they swear weren't there before. What's buried in Darford Cemetery isn't just bones. It's rage, grief, and unfinished stories that refuse to stay silent. You don't just visit Darford Cemetery, you survive it. Number 4. Wood County Insane Asylum. Once a place of unspeakable suffering, the Wood County Insane Asylum, built in 1909, was a sprawling complex meant to house society's most vulnerable, the mentally ill, the elderly, the impoverished, and even tuberculosis patients. But behind its brick walls, rumors swirled of harsh treatments, isolation chambers, and tragic deaths. Today, the building no longer serves patients. Instead, it's been absorbed into the Marshfield Scrap Company, but its past has refused to stay buried. Workers report chilling phenomena. Footsteps echoing in abandoned halls, doors slamming on their own, and unexplainable screams in the dead of night. One recurring spirit is believed to be a former maintenance worker, seen pacing with a tool belt and vanishing into thin air. Others claim sightings of a young girl wandering the tunnels beneath the structure, her dress torn, her face pale, and her presence always accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature. Some say she never speaks, just stares. But perhaps the most terrifying experiences come from those brave enough to enter the lower levels. There, in the dark, shadowy corridors, witnesses report being watched, followed, even touched by unseen hands. Ghost hunters have recorded EVPs of crying, whispering, and even laughter echoing through the walls. The asylum may be gone from official records, but its spirits are still very much alive. Number 5. Clark County Insane Asylum. Hidden in the rural shadows of Owen stands the crumbling shell of the Clark County Insane Asylum. Once a place of supposed healing, now a monument of human suffering. Operating during a time when mental health was misunderstood and mistreated, this asylum became notorious for its brutal methods: electroshock therapy, isolation rooms, and restraint devices that turned healing into horror. Today, the air still clings with despair. Visitors speak of bone-chilling moans echoing through the long-abandoned halls, fleeting shadows slipping past shattered windows, and the oppressive presence of something watching. Some claim to see former patients silent, pale figures dressed in hospital gowns, while others say the air thickens, pressing on your chest like invisible hands. The building may be quiet, but the trauma screams beneath the silence. Number 6. Shaker's Cigar Bar. Beneath the smoky charm of this 1920s speakeasy lies a chilling legacy. Once a brothel run by the mob, Shaker's Cigar Bar has been dubbed the most haunted bar in America. Patrons report encounters with the spirit of a little girl who lingers in the women's restroom, her laughter echoing in empty stalls. Down in the basement, rumored to have served as a mob burial site, dark shadows and ghostly figures are seen moving through the gloom. Ghost tours are held regularly, but many leave early, overwhelmed by the oppressive energy that seems to wrap around your chest like smoke you can't escape. Number 7. Riverside Cemetery. Among the moss-covered tombstones of Riverside Cemetery lies the infamous grave of Kate Blood, a name that chills the spine of every local. Legend says she murdered her husband and children, though historical records suggest otherwise. Still, her grave draws thrill seekers and ghost hunters alike. On full moon nights, some swear the headstone seeps a blood-like substance, and the temperature around it drops dramatically. Witnesses report seeing a shadowy female figure weeping near the stone or vanishing into the woods beyond. Whether cursed or misunderstood, Kate Blood's grave remains one of Wisconsin's most feared and fascinating paranormal hotspots. Number 8. Boy Scout Lane. Deep within the wooded backroads of Stevens Point lies a stretch of eerie silence known as Boy Scout Lane, a place that never shows up on cheerful maps but lives in local legend. The road is named after a troop of Boy Scouts who, according to chilling tales, vanished without a trace or burned to death in a mysterious fire during a camping trip in the 1950s or 60s. The truth? No official records confirm the tragedy. Yet the stories persist, passed from generation to generation, growing darker with each telling. Locals and thrill seekers brave enough to visit the area report disembodied whispers, sudden footsteps behind them, and cold spots that defy explanation. The most haunting encounters involve sightings of glowing lanterns moving through the trees, believed to be the scouts' spirits forever trying to find their way home. Some claim to hear cries for help. Others say shadowy figures dart between the pines, vanishing before they can be fully seen. What really happened on Boy Scout Lane may never be known, but one thing is certain: those woods hold a presence that watches, waits, and never truly rests. Step off the road, and you may never come back the same. If you are enjoying, hit like and subscribe button. Number 9. Maribel Caves Hotel. Once a luxury spa retreat in the early 1900s, the Maribel Caves Hotel in Wisconsin now lies in eerie ruins, its walls blackened by time, fire, and terrifying legends. Nicknamed Hotel Hell, the site has drawn ghost hunters and thrill seekers for decades. Locals whisper of a mysterious fire that gutted the building. Some believe it was no accident. The structure, half standing amid overgrowth, is said to be cursed, with visitors claiming to see objects floating on their own, hear disembodied footsteps echoing through the empty corridors, and feel unseen hands touch their backs. But the most chilling rumor, a supposed portal to hell itself, lies within its crumbling foundation. Some say if you walk the basement ruins at midnight, you'll hear screams from another realm. Others have vanished temporarily, only to reappear disoriented, unable to explain where they'd been. Paranormal investigators report intense EMF spikes, malfunctioning equipment, and a thick, oppressive energy. Even those passing by have sworn they've seen a ghostly woman staring out from shattered windows, though no one should be inside. Was this once grand hotel simply abandoned, or did something far darker take root in its walls? Would you dare step into Hotel Hell? Number 10. Octagon House. Built in 1856, the Octagon House in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, is far from your average historic home. Shaped with 8 sides for spiritual protection and energy flow, it hides secrets within its walls, literally. The house is filled with hidden passageways, trapdoors, and a mysterious underground tunnel that once connected to a church across the street. But it's not just architectural oddities that draw attention, it's the chilling paranormal activity. Visitors report hearing ghostly children's laughter echoing through the halls when no one is there. Some claim to have seen the ghost of a young boy peering from behind doors or running across rooms. Cold spots randomly appear, and toys reportedly move on their own. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained voices, and some believe the energy in the house is amplified by its octagonal shape. There's a long-standing theory that the spirits trapped here may be those of children who died tragically in the home or nearby. The Octagon House has been featured on ghost tours and paranormal shows, yet the mystery of who haunts its crooked corridors remains unsolved. It stands not just as a relic of history, but as a chilling doorway to the past that refuses to stay buried. Number 11. Winnebago Mental Health Institute. Built in 1873 as the Northern Asylum for the Insane, the Winnebago Mental Health Institute carries a past as dark as the long corridors that snake through its aging buildings. Designed in the Kirkbride plan, style a structure built to house and heal the mentally ill, it once held over 1,000 patients. But whispers tell of unethical treatments, isolation, and deaths hidden from public record. Former staff speak of inexplicable cold spots, echoing screams in the dead of night, and phantom figures watching from the shadows of locked wings. Nurses have reported hearing crying from empty rooms, and some claim to feel tugged by invisible hands. One former orderly quit after allegedly witnessing a ghostly woman in a patient gown walk through a closed door. Paranormal investigators describe the atmosphere as oppressive, as though the walls themselves mourn. Though much of the original asylum has been modernized, certain wings remain sealed off, untouched, unrestored, and untouched by time. Whether these lingering spirits are restless patients or echoes of trauma, no one truly knows. But one thing's certain, the suffering here carved itself into the very foundation. And if you listen closely, you just might hear them still crying out. Number 12. Sheboygan Asylum. Once a place of healing turned into a labyrinth of screams, welcome to the Sheboygan Asylum. Officially closed years ago, its empty halls still breathe with the pain of forgotten souls. Originally built in the early 1900s, the asylum housed patients with severe mental illnesses, many of whom underwent brutal treatments, electroshock therapy, cold water immersion, and worse. Over time, staff began reporting strange things, shadow figures in the hallways, whispers echoing through the vents, and objects moving on their own. After its closure, urban explorers began sneaking in, claiming to hear ghostly screams, see doors slam by themselves, and feel icy hands gripping their arms in the dark. But it doesn't stop there. The site gained national attention when it was featured on Destination Fear, where even the crew refused to stay in certain wings due to overwhelming dread and unexplained technical malfunction. Paranormal investigators have captured EVP recordings of tortured voices crying for help. Some even believe that a few patients never left and now roam the crumbling asylum, eternally confused, eternally angry. Are these lingering spirits the result of trauma or something far darker? Would you dare walk those halls at night? Subscribe to Blink News for more real haunted horrors. Number 13. Kemper Center. Once a picturesque boarding school for girls in the 1800s, the Kemper Center now stands as a Gothic waterfront complex masking a sinister presence beneath its historic charm. Inside its dimly lit corridors, whispers follow visitors, and the temperature drops without reason. Locals say the ghost of a former nun roams the halls, her silhouette vanishing behind walls where no doors exist. The chapel, once a place of comfort, now echoes with disembodied prayers and sudden cries. One caretaker swore he saw shadowy figures watching from the bell tower, only to vanish as he approached. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained EVPs. Some say their voices pleading to be freed. The building's age-old wood groans, like it remembers everything, including the punishments, the secrets, and the silence of girls who never left. Today, even during public events, people report a suffocating sensation as though the spirits resent being disturbed. Kemper Center isn't just haunted, it's alive with sorrow, secrets, and something that refuses to die. Number 14. Road Center for the Arts. Once the majestic Road Opera House built in 1891, this now restored cultural landmark hides more than just artistic history. Destroyed by fire in 1936 and resurrected from ashes, the Road Center has become a beacon for both performers and paranormal investigators. Staff and visitors frequently report chilling encounters. Shadowy figures drift backstage, heavy footsteps echo through the empty balconies, and the distinct scent of cigar smoke lingers in dressing rooms with no known source. One ghost, often described as a stern man in 1930s formal wear, is believed to be a former manager who died in the fire. Actors whisper about a female apparition who watches rehearsals from the front row before vanishing into thin air. Paranormal teams using EMF meters and EVP recorders have documented unexplained activity, claiming that spirits of past performers still long for the spotlight. At night, the stage lights flicker without power, and eerie organ music has been heard playing when no one is near the instrument. Despite its charm and artistic energy, the Road Center's haunted history is impossible to ignore. It remains a place where the past clings tightly to the present, and where the dead may never have taken their final bow. Number 15. Nelson's Hall. In the heart of Washington Island stands a saloon with a bizarre legacy and a mischievous spirit who just won't leave. Built in the 1890s by Tom Nelson, the hall once sold Angostura bitters during Prohibition, skirting the law by labeling it as medicine. But even after death, Tom Nelson's spirit refuses to check out. Visitors, especially women, have reported a strange, unseen presence in the hallway near the ladies' bathroom. The air grows cold, footsteps echo when no one is near, and most disturbingly, some claim they felt a sharp pat on their backside as if a ghostly hand reached from beyond. Staff often joke that's just Tom being Tom, but those who felt his touch don't laugh. Whether it's legend or something darker, Guests leave Nelson's Hall with one thing in common, a story they never expected to tell. Number 16. The Grand Oshkosh. Built in 1883 or still active as a performance venue or known as one of Wisconsin's most haunted theaters. Nestled in the heart of downtown Oshkosh, the Grand is the oldest operating opera house in Wisconsin and possibly the most haunted. The moment you step inside its richly adorned Victorian interior, it feels like time itself has paused. But for many, it's not just history lingering here. It's something far more chilling. The most commonly reported spirit is Percy Keene, a longtime stage manager from the early 20th century. Staff and performers claim to see a well-dressed man in early 1900s attire wandering backstage, only for him to vanish through a door that no longer exists. His footsteps echo long after everyone's gone home, and lights flicker as if he's still managing the show. Guests sitting alone in the balcony have reported whispers in their ears, cold drafts without a source, and a looming presence watching from the upper levels. During late-night rehearsals, actors have heard ghostly clapping from the empty seats and the unmistakable sound of phantom footsteps pacing the stage. The Grand isn't just haunted by Percy. Apparitions of a woman in white have been seen gliding silently across the auditorium. Others speak of a shadow figure that lurks near the orchestra pit, especially on stormy nights. Paranormal teams who've investigated here describe the energy as intensely theatrical, as though the spirits themselves are waiting for the next act to begin. Visitors hoping for a simple night of opera may get more drama than they bargained for. At the Grand Oshkosh, the curtain never truly falls, even for the dead. Number 17. Brumder Mansion. Built in 1910 by George Brumder, a German-American publishing magnate, the Brumder Mansion has stood through eras of prohibition, underground speakeasies, and spiritualist movements. While its Queen Anne architecture dazzles from the outside, the real intrigue lies within. After a series of renovations in the late 20th century, guests and staff began to report a strange surge in paranormal activity, doors creaking open on their own, ice-cold hands grabbing at ankles in the night, and lights flickering in rooms with no one present. Some claim a domineering female spirit lingers in the Gold Suite, watching over visitors as if guarding a hidden past. Others report seeing a tall man in a hat vanishing into walls. Paranormal investigators have recorded disembodied voices, sudden drops in temperature, and objects moving without explanation. The house, once a symbol of Milwaukee high society, now serves as a bed and breakfast that dares guests to sleep through the night without encountering the unseen residents still wandering its gilded halls. Number 18. Ambassador Hotel. In the heart of Milwaukee stands the Ambassador Hotel, a stunning piece of Art Deco architecture that conceals a chilling legacy within its elegant walls. Behind the golden chandeliers and polished marble floors lies a room that history will never forget, room 507. In 1987, it was here that Jeffrey Dahmer, one of America's most infamous serial killers, committed his first Milwaukee murder, luring 25-year-old Stephen Tuomi into the room before killing him. Although Dahmer later claimed he had no memory of the act, room 507 has since become synonymous with dread. Staff and guests alike report feeling a heavy, suffocating atmosphere upon entering the room, as though the very walls remember what happened. Lights flicker, doors creak open on their own, and strange mechanical sounds echo through the hallways at night. Housekeepers have refused to clean the room alone. Some even speak of fleeting glimpses of a shadowy figure standing at the foot of the bed, gone the moment you turn the lights on. But the terror doesn't stop there. A chilling number of guests claim to feel an invisible pressure on their chest at night, as if something or someone is watching them sleep. And those who dare to stay on the 5th floor often report unexplainable cold spots, whispering voices in the hallway, and the eerie feeling of being followed, even when completely alone. The Ambassador Hotel is more than haunted. It is a monument to real horror, a beautiful facade masking a place permanently scarred by evil. If you ever find yourself there, think twice before riding the elevator to the 5th floor, especially if it opens by itself. Number 19. Peshtigo Fire Museum. On October 8, 1871, while the Great Chicago Fire stole headlines, something far more horrifying unfolded in Peshtigo, Wisconsin. A wall of fire fueled by drought, wind, and logging debris engulfed the entire town in minutes, killing over 2,000 people and vaporizing everything in its path. The death toll was so high, many victims were buried in a mass grave behind what is now the Peshtigo Fire Museum, housed in a former church built on the very soil soaked with tragedy, but the dead never truly left. Visitors to the museum describe sudden drops in temperature, ghostly whispers in the old pews, and flickering lights with no electrical explanation. Some claim to hear the faint sound of crackling flames even when the building is completely silent. One of the eeriest tales involves the display casket holding the remains of an unidentified child. Museum workers report it sometimes moves on its own, or emits a strange glow in the dead of night. Locals say the spirits of fire victims, many never identified, wander the grounds, endlessly trapped in the moment of their death. Paranormal investigators have captured phantom screams, heat anomalies, and even the echo of a prayer being recited in an empty room. This isn't just a museum, it's a burning scar in Wisconsin's haunted history. Would you dare walk where the ashes still whisper? Number 20. Taliesin. Frank Lloyd Wright's architectural masterpiece, Taliesin, hides a history soaked in unimaginable horror. In 1914, while Wright was away, a deranged servant named Julian Carleton locked the doors, doused the estate in gasoline, and set it ablaze. As the fire raged, he stood at the exits with an axe, murdering anyone trying to flee. Among the 7 victims were Wright's mistress Mama Borthwick and her 2 children. The massacre turned the idyllic estate into a house of death. Though Taliesin was rebuilt, something sinister never left. To this day, staff and visitors report seeing ghostly figures wandering the estate's long hallways, often a woman in white believed to be Mama. Others speak of cold spots, phantom screams, and a suffocating presence in the area where the murders took place. Shadows appear in photographs where no one was standing, and footsteps echo through the empty studio late at night. Many claim the building itself seems to mourn, whispers ride the wind across the hill, and lights flicker on in rooms locked for decades. Taliesin isn't just haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by the memory of an unspeakable betrayal. The question lingers, does a place touched by such violence ever truly heal, or does it remain forever marked by its darkest hour? Number 21. Holy Hill. Perched high on a glacial hill and surrounded by dense forest, Holy Hill Basilica is more than just a sacred site. It's one of Wisconsin's most spiritually charged and chillingly mysterious locations. Originally established by Carmelite monks, the basilica has attracted pilgrims for over a century, but many visitors report unsettling sensations, such as sudden drops in temperature, whispers echoing in empty corridors, and the overwhelming feeling of being watched, especially near the stations of the cross trail. Legend tells of ghostly monks silently gliding through the trees, vanishing when approached. Some even claim to see a shadowy figure kneeling in prayer inside the chapel after hours, despite the basilica being locked. Others report phantom footsteps pacing behind them, or a strange chanting sound that seems to rise from beneath the crypt. Whether these phenomena are remnants of deep devotion or something more otherworldly, one thing is certain: those who visit Holy Hill often leave with more questions than answers, and a lingering sense of being followed. Number 22. Sanatorium Hill. Once echoing with the quiet struggle of tuberculosis patients in the early 1900s, Sanatorium Hill now rests beneath a canopy of trees and a thick layer of dread. The old Madison Sanatorium that once stood here was known for its silent halls and suffering souls. Although the building was demolished, strange apparitions still wander the hill. Joggers and hikers have reported feeling watched, hearing coughing in the woods, or glimpsing translucent figures in hospital gowns disappearing into the trees. Some even claim the air thickens, as if the atmosphere itself remembers the sickness. Paranormal investigators describe cold spots, malfunctioning equipment, and voices calling out names that no longer belong to the living. It's as though the patients never left and still linger, waiting to be healed. Number 23. Bascom Hill. At the heart of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Bascom Hill is more than just a historic slope. It's a place where time seems fractured. Beneath its academic charm lies a hidden current of unease. Students have whispered for decades about shadowy figures drifting past at night, unseen footsteps trailing behind them, and sudden drops in temperature even on warm days. Some say the spirits belong to students who died tragically, one after falling down the hill in the 1800s, another said to have taken their life near the statue of Abraham Lincoln. The most unsettling encounters often happen late at night, ghostly laughter echoing from empty paths, windows slamming shut in locked buildings, or the overwhelming sensation that someone is walking beside you, just out of sight. For campus so alive, Bascom Hill feels eerily haunted. Number 24. Milwaukee Public Museum. Within the walls of the Milwaukee Public Museum lies more than just history. There are whispers of the unexplained. Staff members have long reported strange occurrences. Footsteps echoing when no one is there, objects shifting overnight, and disembodied voices in the exhibits. The streets of Old Milwaukee Exhibit is a particular hotspot. Many have seen shadowy figures walking past storefronts only to vanish into thin air. The replica of a European village is also said to trigger motion sensors at night even when no one is inside. Though skeptics blame old heating systems and building quirks, employees who've worked there for decades remain convinced something unseen walks the museum halls, guarding history or reliving it. Number 25. USS Cobia. Moored permanently at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum in Manitowoc, the USS Cobia is more than a relic of World War II. It's a ghost ship in plain sight. Launched in 1943, the submarine completed 6 wartime patrols in the Pacific, sinking enemy ships and narrowly escaping death countless times. But not all of her crew made it home. Some believe their spirits never left. Visitors and staff alike have reported eerie encounters on board. Shadowy figures moving through the torpedo rooms, unexplained cold spots, and whispers echoing through the steel corridors. Footsteps clank on metal floors when no one is around. Equipment on board long since decommissioned has flickered to life without warning. Even more disturbing, some overnight guests during the museum's sleepover programs have claimed to see uniformed apparitions staring at them silently before fading into the walls. Paranormal investigators who've explored the cobia with full-spectrum cameras and EMF detectors have recorded spikes in electromagnetic activity, especially near the engine room and sleeping quarters. The ship seems to hold memories within its hull, some of valor, others of pain. Whether you're a history buff or a thrill seeker, stepping aboard the USS Cobia might connect you with more than just history. It might awaken the past itself. Number 26. Elk Lake Dam. In 1974, a young University of Wisconsin Stout student named Mary Schleiss was brutally murdered near Elk Lake Dam in Phillips. She had been hitchhiking to a political art event when her body was discovered in the snow, viciously stabbed over 15 times. Despite extensive investigations, the killer was never caught, and the case remains unsolved to this day. Locals say her death left a spiritual scar on the land, and her presence has never fully left the area. Visitors to Elk Lake Dam report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, even on sunny days. Some claim to see a woman standing alone near the shoreline, dressed in outdated winter clothing, silently staring at the frozen water before vanishing. Others hear soft cries or gasping breaths in the woods, always just out of reach. Paranormal investigators who visited the site have recorded sudden temperature drops, unexplained EMF spikes, and EVP recordings capturing what sounds like a desperate plea, "Help me." Though decades have passed, Mary's restless spirit seems to remain trapped, bound to the site of her final moments. The chilling energy of Elk Lake Dam continues to terrify those who dare to visit after dark. Number 27. Highway 66 Bridge. Tucked away in the quiet outskirts of Stevens Point, the Highway 66 Bridge harbors a chilling legend whispered by locals for decades. The story tells of a young bride who tragically lost her life in a devastating car crash on the bridge, just hours after her wedding. Clad in her white gown, she was reportedly on her way to meet her husband when fate struck. The crash was violent, sudden, and final, leaving behind only fragments of her veil and a haunting legacy. Ever since, eerie accounts have surfaced. Drivers claim to see a figure in white standing in the middle of the road, only to vanish upon approach. Some report their radios suddenly bursting into static or their headlights flickering as they cross the span. A few have even seen a ghostly handprint appear on their fogged windows, always on the passenger side. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers alike are drawn to the site, hoping to glimpse the phantom bride of Highway 66. Whether it's a restless spirit, a memory burned into the atmosphere, or something darker entirely, what's certain is that those who cross the bridge at night never forget the feeling of being watched. Number 28. Morris Pratt Institute. Once hailed as the Harvard of spiritualism, the Morris Pratt Institute in Whitewater, Wisconsin, is one of the eeriest remnants of America's fascination with contacting the dead. Founded in 1889 by Morris Pratt, an ardent believer in spiritualism, after attending a seance, it became a training ground for mediums, psychics, and spiritual researchers. But the building's true legacy lies in the chilling stories that refuse to fade. Linked to Whitewater's nickname, Second Salem, the town was rumored to house dark secrets, underground tunnels, and occult activity. Within the walls of the institute, students reported spectral knocks, disembodied voices, and sudden drops in temperature during classes. Some claimed to see ghostly figures hovering during seances, even after the sessions ended. Long after the school shut down, caretakers and visitors described flickering lights, books flying from shelves, and the sound of footsteps pacing empty halls. Paranormal investigators have captured EVP, electronic voice, phenomena, and temperature fluctuations near what was once the seance room. Though the building now houses offices, workers still whisper about something watching them from the shadows. The Morris Pratt Institute is not just a historical site. It's a doorway to a haunted past that refuses to close. Number 29. The Wonder Bar. Built in the 1920s during the Prohibition era, the Wonder Bar was more than just a speakeasy, it was a notorious mob hangout. With secret tunnels and escape routes built beneath it, legends swirl that infamous Chicago gangsters like Al Capone frequented the place. But what lingers isn't just the smell of aged whiskey, it's the spirits of those who never left. Patrons and staff report chilling encounters with a ghostly man in a fedora, believed to be a mobster, who was executed within the bar's walls during a hit gone wrong. He's been seen leaning against the bar, vanishing the moment someone approaches. Even stranger is the red-haired woman from a painting hanging in the lounge. She allegedly steps out of her frame. Witnesses have heard her giggle, felt her cold hand on their shoulder, or seen her reflection in mirrors when no one else was there. Glasses fly off shelves. Lights flicker on command. Paranormal investigators have picked up strange EMF spikes and EVPs of laughter. Today, the Wonder Bar thrives as a restaurant, but beneath the clinking of glasses and laughter of guests lies a shadowy past that refuses to be silenced. Number 30. Rienzi Cemetery. Hidden among the oaks and maples of Fond du Lac lies Rienzi Cemetery, a place not only of rest but of unrest. Founded in the mid-1800s, this burial ground became a focal point during the rise of spiritualism in Wisconsin. Seances were said to occur near the graves of known mediums, and many believed the cemetery sat on a ley line of supernatural energy. But the eeriest reports speak of glowing orbs weaving between tombstones, ghostly figures vanishing into thin air, and whispers that drift through the silence even on windless nights. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained voices and figures on infrared, many claiming they're the spirits of spiritualists who never truly left. But one tale lingers above the rest. The cloaked woman who kneels at various graves, vanishing when approached, believed by locals to be a grieving mother searching for her lost children. Is she real or just a legend etched into the mist of this haunted cemetery? Would you dare to visit Rienzi after dark? Like, comment your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying tales every week on Blink News. Number 31. Oconomowoc Cemetery. Just 40 minutes from Madison, the Oconomowoc Cemetery is more than just a quiet resting place. It's a hotbed of supernatural whispers. Locals have long reported fleeting apparitions among the headstones, eerie voices on windless nights, and shadowy figures that vanish when approached. Some visitors speak of a woman in white who glides through the cemetery without making a sound, while others claim their electronics malfunction or go completely dead within the grounds. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained cold spots and strange EMF spikes, suggesting something or someone lingers. What secrets are the dead trying to tell in this haunted cemetery? Step inside if you dare. Number 32. Hidden in the rolling countryside near Oconomowoc lies one of Wisconsin's most quietly disturbing cemeteries, Monterey Cemetery. Dating back to the 1800s, this secluded graveyard is small-aged and overgrown, but its silence holds more than just the peaceful rest of the dead. Locals speak in hushed tones about shadowy figures that drift between the headstones, footsteps crunching in the gravel when no one is there, and ghostly moans carried on the breeze. One of the most chilling legends involves a spectral woman dressed in black, seen weeping over a child's grave, vanishing if anyone gets too close. Another tale warns of a headless man who appears at dusk, forever searching for his missing skull. Paranormal investigators have documented unexplainable audio recordings, distorted voices, laughter, and one instance of a blood-curdling scream picked up during a midnight visit. Some who enter the cemetery at night report overwhelming feelings of dread, nausea, or the sensation of being watched from the trees. Despite, or perhaps because of its unassuming appearance, Monterey Cemetery has gained a reputation as one of the most unnerving and active paranormal sites in the region. Many visit, but few stay long. Would you dare to walk among its haunted dead? Number 33. Forest Home Cemetery. Built in 1850, Forest Home Cemetery is one of Milwaukee's oldest and most historically significant burial grounds. Resting place to over 110,000 souls, including mayors, governors, industrialists, and Civil War soldiers. But beneath the serenity of its beautifully landscaped grounds and Gothic Revival architecture lies something deeply unsettling. Visitors often describe an overwhelming sensation of being watched or followed even when alone. Some recount the feeling of cold fingers brushing against their backs or the soft rustle of leaves with no wind present. One of the most chilling stories involves the spirit of a woman in black, seen gliding between gravestones only to vanish when approached. Paranormal investigators have recorded sudden EMF spikes and temperature drops near the grave of a child who died in the 1800s, where a small rocking horse mysteriously moves on its own. There's also a mausoleum said to echo with whispers despite being sealed shut for over a century. Many believe the cemetery's age and the emotional weight of those buried here have created a spiritual imprint too powerful to fade. If you walk the grounds after sunset, beware, you might not be alone. One misstep, and the dead might just follow you home. Number 34. Mendota Mental Health Institute. Tucked away in Madison, the Mendota Mental Health Institute is one of the oldest psychiatric hospitals in Wisconsin and one of its most haunted. Opened in 1860, it housed some of the most mentally ill and disturbed individuals in the region, often under brutal conditions reflective of 19th century mental health care. Patients were subjected to crude therapies, long-term isolation, and in many cases forgotten by their families. Many never left. Over the decades, countless reports have emerged from staff and visitors alike of unexplained screams, whispering voices, and sudden cold spots, especially in the abandoned wings and tunnels beneath the facility. Apparitions of patients in outdated hospital gowns have been seen wandering hallways, sometimes sobbing or staring blankly through windows. The most frequently mentioned spirit is that of a woman who appears in a long white dress, seen peering from the top floor late at night before vanishing into the walls. Security cameras have allegedly caught doors opening and closing on their own, while some staff refuse to enter certain areas alone. While still operational, the hospital's long and tragic history continues to bleed through its walls, leaving behind more than just memories. Number 35. Walnut Hill Cemetery. Perched on a lonely hill overlooking Baraboo, Walnut Hill Cemetery has long held a reputation that chills even the most hardened ghost hunters. Founded in the mid-1800s, its weather-worn headstones and gnarled trees create a haunting atmosphere, but what lies beneath the surface is far more terrifying. Locals whisper of a dark energy that clings to the ground, an evil presence that pushes visitors away. Paranormal investigators who've dared to explore the cemetery have reported being physically overwhelmed with sudden nausea, intense fear, and even scratches appearing on their skin. One chilling tale involves a psychic who collapsed during a reading at the site. Screaming about black eyes watching from the woods, multiple EVPs capture desperate whispers begging for help, and angry voices telling people to leave. Shadowy figures, red eyes in the tree line, and the eerie sound of growling where no animals are present all add to the terror. Some believe the cemetery was built on cursed land, or that occult rituals once took place here, leaving behind a spiritual scar. Those who visit Walnut Hill rarely return at night, and those who do never forget what followed them home. Number 36. Walnut Grove Cemetery hides a chilling layer of darkness beneath its weathered headstones and overgrown paths. Established in the 1800s, this cemetery is the final resting place for victims of tragic accidents, epidemics, and mysterious deaths, many never identified. Locals whisper of an unmarked grave belonging to a circus performer who was trampled to death during a violent stampede in the early 1900s, his cries said to echo through the grounds on foggy nights. Paranormal investigators have recorded sudden temperature drops, strange EMF spikes, and even chilling EVP sessions where voices pleaded, "Don't dig here." Shadowy figures are often seen darting between trees or standing silently near infant graves before vanishing. One frequent visitor swears she saw a little girl in Victorian dress walking backward through the cemetery, her eyes black and vacant, but when approached, she simply vanished into the mist. Others report the suffocating feeling of being watched or even touched by invisible hands. Despite its peaceful appearance in the daylight, Walnut Grove transforms after dark, becoming a place where time stands still, spirits wander freely, and reality begins to blur with something far more terrifying. Step inside if you dare, but don't expect to leave alone. Number 37. Haunted Dairy Queen. It's just an ice cream stop until the lights flicker and no one's near the switch. In Appleton, Wisconsin, locals whisper about a Dairy Queen that's anything but sweet. Staff report hearing footsteps in the back freezer when no one's there. Equipment turns on and off by itself. One manager quit after witnessing a shadow figure dart across the lobby late at night, caught on camera but never explained. Paranormal investigators suspect the land itself holds dark energy, possibly tied to old settlements or a forgotten tragedy. Whatever the cause, this DQ has earned a chilling reputation. Would you dare order a blizzard alone at closing time? Number 38. Best Western, the Hotel Chequamegon. Perched on the edge of Lake Superior, the Hotel Chequamegon offers stunning waterfront views by day and spine-chilling encounters by night. Guests often report sightings of a well-dressed man in a top hat silently roaming the third floor, vanishing just before reaching their room. Housekeeping staff refuse to enter certain suites alone after witnessing furniture shift on its own or hearing old-time music echo through empty halls. In one particularly unsettling incident, an entire glass cabinet exploded without warning, shards scattered as if pushed by unseen hands. Locals say the ghost may be tied to the original 19th century hotel that once stood on this site before it mysteriously burned down. Could this top-hatted gentleman be a remnant from that tragic past, unwilling to check out? Number 39. Four Seasons Supper Club. Tucked in the serene wilderness of northern Wisconsin, the Four Seasons Supper Club is not just known for its rustic charm and hearty meals, it's infamous for its unnerving paranormal activity. Built decades ago as a cozy retreat for travelers and locals alike, this dining spot harbors secrets that chill the bones of even the most skeptical guests. Patrons have reported seeing ghostly figures seated at tables long after closing time, always still, never eating, their eyes staring into nothingness. Waitstaff frequently hear silverware clinking and chairs scraping on the floor when the restaurant is completely empty. Some claim that late at night, soft jazz music drifts through the air, even though no speakers are playing and no live band is present. The eeriest encounters come from those who see ghost diners vanish mid-glance, leaving behind only the faint smell of old cigar smoke or vintage perfume. Employees have allegedly refused to close alone due to unexplained whispers and the unnerving sensation of being watched. While the supper club continues to serve guests with warmth and charm, its haunted reputation is growing stronger with every chilling report. Could this be the spirits of past patrons still lingering for one last meal? Like eerie tales like this? Subscribe to Blink News for more haunted mysteries. Number 40. Little Bohemia. Tucked away in Manawak, Little Bohemia might look like just another cozy tavern, but this unassuming spot hides a haunting connection to America's gangster past. Locals claim it once served as a hideout for the infamous John Dillinger gang during their Midwest crime spree. The walls, steeped in Prohibition-era secrets, have reportedly absorbed more than just echoes of laughter and clinking glasses. Many believe they've trapped the restless spirits of those who died violent deaths, tied to the gang's criminal operation. Over the years, patrons and employees have experienced intense cold spots, glasses shattering on their own, and even shadowy figures wearing fedoras and trench coats, appearing briefly before vanishing into thin air. Some have reported hearing hushed conversations and footsteps in empty rooms or jukeboxes turning on without being touched. The most unnerving accounts include full-body apparitions resembling 1930s gangsters sitting at tables, staring blankly ahead. Despite renovations and changing ownership, the eerie atmosphere persists almost as if the past refuses to be buried. Paranormal investigators have picked up strange EMF spikes and EVPs believed to be voices of former gang members. Little Bohemia isn't just a bar. It's a lingering chapter of crime history turned supernatural. Number 41. Gaslight Square. By day, Minocqua's Gaslight Square is a charming collection of downtown buildings filled with shops, cafes, and curious tourists. But when night falls, the cobblestone walkways and vintage storefronts seem to whisper secrets from another era. Locals talk of eerie footsteps echoing through empty hallways, doors that open and close on their own, and sudden bone-chilling drops in temperature, especially in the older sections of the square. One building, once a turn-of-the-century hotel, is said to be haunted by a woman in black who stares blankly from the second-floor window. Employees have heard whispers coming from locked rooms and found merchandise moved or thrown overnight. Paranormal investigators report electromagnetic spikes and unexplained shadow figures in security footage. Some believe the hauntings date back to early settlers and tragic events that were never publicly recorded, while others suspect Prohibition-era secrets lie buried beneath the floorboards. Whatever the cause, even the skeptics agree something in Gaslight Square doesn't sleep. If you ever stroll through Minocqua after dark, you may feel someone watching you from behind the glass even when the store is closed. Would you dare to walk those streets alone at night? Drop a comment below if you'd still visit. Number 42. Paulding Lights. Deep in the dense woods of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, just near the Wisconsin border, a phenomenon has baffled generations: the Paulding Lights. Since the 1960s, travelers along a remote stretch near Robbins Pond Road have reported strange, glowing orbs floating through the trees. These lights appear suddenly flickering, pulsing, and even changing colors before vanishing into the darkness. Locals believe the lights are the spirit of a railroad brakeman killed while trying to stop a train. Others say it's the ghost of a mail carrier who died on the job, or even a spectral lantern carried by a murdered miner searching for justice. Despite several scientific attempts to explain the lights, ranging from distant car headlights to atmospheric gases, none have been able to completely debunk the sightings. Paranormal investigators have camped out for nights and left with more questions than answers. Visitors describe an eerie silence just before the lights appear, followed by a chilling drop in temperature. Some claim to hear distant footsteps or a phantom whistle. Whether it's folklore or fact, one thing's certain: the Paulding Lights remain one of the most chilling and unexplainable ghostly spectacles in the Midwest. Would you dare go looking for them? Number 43. Caryville. Just off the banks of the Chippewa River lies the eerie ghost town of Caryville, a place steeped in forgotten tragedy and whispered legends. Once a thriving logging town in the 19th century, Caryville now stands in silence, its remnants consumed by the surrounding woods. Locals speak in hushed tones about the haunted bridge, where phantom footsteps echo on moonlit nights, and shadowy figures are seen pacing back and forth only to vanish into thin air. The nearby cemetery is said to be cursed, with strange lights floating above headstones and guttural growls heard in the dead of night. Several urban explorers have reported unexplained scratches, missing time, and an overwhelming sense of dread while wandering through the overgrown ruins. There's even talk of a phantom horse-drawn carriage that appears without sound, its driver headless, gliding through fog. Legends say the town was built on ancient Native American burial grounds, disturbing spirits that never found peace. Even seasoned ghost hunters hesitate to spend the night in Caryville, claiming the air grows colder and the darkness heavier, as if the town itself breathes. It's not just haunted, it's alive with something you can feel but never quite explain. Number 44, Asylums State Park. Tucked quietly along the Crawfish River, Asylums State Park seems like a peaceful archaeological treasure, but beneath the surface, legends whisper of ghostly forces still guarding its sacred ground. Once the site of a 1,000-year-old Mississippian settlement, the park features mysterious earthen mounds, remnants of a long-lost Native American civilization. Some believe the spirits of these ancient people never left. Visitors have reported hearing phantom drumbeats echoing through the woods at twilight, accompanied by fleeting shadows dancing around the mounds. Campers speak of a sudden unnatural chill even in summer, and the unnerving sensation of being watched. One hiker claimed to see a translucent figure in tribal dress vanishing into the trees. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained energy spikes, disembodied chants, and eerie light anomalies. Local tribal elders have long warned outsiders not to disturb the land, believing the spirits are protectors and punish those who disrespect the site. Asylums doesn't scream horror. It creeps under your skin with ancient sorrow and sacred mystery, hinting that Wisconsin's haunted past runs much deeper than colonial legends. If you ever wander through Asylums' mist-covered fields, remember, this isn't just history, it's a place where time folds and the dead may still walk among the living. Number 45, Haunted Mansion. While many believe it to be just a tourist trap, the Haunted Mansion in Wisconsin Dells hides something much darker beneath its theatrical scares. Originally constructed in the early 1900s as a private estate, the structure was transformed into an attraction in the 1980s. But during renovations, workers claimed to discover hidden rooms, sealed crawl spaces, and a bricked-off basement. Local legends suggest the home once belonged to a reclusive doctor, who allegedly conducted unlicensed autopsies on deceased patients in his own home after being barred from practicing. Haunting, though marketed for thrills, some employees refuse to work after dark. One of the most disturbing features is the doll room meant as a prop exhibit, but numerous visitors have sworn the doll's eyes follow them. Others have reported hearing a woman softly humming a lullaby near the staircases, but no staff member has ever admitted to playing such a sound. Cold spots, disembodied whispers, and even zombie-like shadow figures crawling on the floor have all been witnessed. A particularly terrifying incident involved a child who went missing for over 40 minutes inside the attraction, only to be found unconscious in a hallway that supposedly didn't exist on the blueprints. When asked what happened, the child muttered, "The dolls wanted me to stay." Warning, locals advise against mocking the spirits inside, especially near the basement area. Paranormal groups have recorded spikes in electromagnetic activity and EVP whispers saying, "Don't go downstairs." Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, many leave the Haunted Mansion shaken, and some swear something follows them home. Number 46. County B Bridge. Underneath the scenic calm of County B Bridge lies a terrifying local legend that still haunts Plainfield's residents. The bridge, just outside the town infamous for producing America's most disturbing killer Ed Gein, holds a dark tale of its own. Decades ago, a family car plunged into the icy waters below during a winter storm. All were presumed dead, but witnesses claim only 4 bodies were recovered. Since then, chilling cries pierce the night air, most notably the sorrowful wails of a little girl calling out for her mother. Locals report hearing splashing sounds beneath the bridge, even during droughts. Some drivers say their radios go static as they approach, followed by the faint but unmistakable sobbing of a child echoing through their speakers. Others have seen wet handprints appear on their windshields after parking near the bridge. Paranormal investigators who've dared to spend nights there claim equipment failure is common, and some have even blacked out with no memory of the night. Was one soul never truly recovered? Or did something darker claim that bridge after the tragedy? Whatever the truth, one thing's certain: County B Bridge doesn't just remember the past, it relives it night after night. Number 47. Pauper Cemetery. Hidden behind the thick trees near the grounds of a long-abandoned mental asylum in Wauwatosa lies the Pauper Cemetery. Its name alone carries a weight of tragedy. The gravestones here are small, weather-worn, and many lack names altogether, just cold, rusted numbers etched into stone. These were the forgotten, the institutionalized, the unwanted. At night, the cemetery seems to breathe. Paranormal investigators have reported an overwhelming sense of being watched, often from the tree line where no one stands. Equipment malfunctions are frequent, and shadowy figures are seen darting between the trees. Some say a woman in a hospital gown drifts between the graves, her mouth opening as if to scream, but no sound comes out. Locals refuse to visit after sundown, claiming the area is cursed by the tortured souls of the asylum's patients who were buried without dignity, without family, and without peace. Visitors have heard low murmurs, disembodied crying, and footsteps behind them that stop when they turn around. Even worse, some report being followed home by a heavy presence that lingers for days. It's not just a cemetery, it's a wound in the earth that never healed. Number 48. O'Brien's Bar. Behind the lively atmosphere and clinking glasses of O'Brien's Bar lies a chilling secret that only a few dare to speak about. This popular Milwaukee spot is haunted by the restless spirit of a cook who died unexpectedly in the kitchen decades ago. Employees often report sudden cold spots and unexplained noises, pots banging, knives clattering, and footsteps echoing through the empty back rooms. Several have seen a shadowy figure wearing a chef's apron, moving silently among the cooking stations before vanishing into thin air. One bartender recounted how a spectral hand briefly touched his shoulder during a late-night shift, leaving behind an icy chill. Paranormal investigators visiting the bar have captured EVP recordings of muffled voices and even faint kitchen sounds when the restaurant was closed. Some believe the cook's spirit lingers, tied to the place where he spent his final days, perhaps trying to finish one last meal. Whether it's a restless soul or a protective presence, the haunting adds an eerie layer to the bar's history, one that reminds visitors and staff alike that some kitchens never truly cool down. Number 49. Grunke's Restaurant. Nestled in the charming town of Bayfield, Gronka's restaurant is famed not just for its hearty meals, but for the spirits that seem to linger long after closing time. As a staple on local ghost tours, this historic eatery has a reputation steeped in paranormal activity. Visitors and staff alike report unexplained footsteps echoing in empty rooms, doors opening and closing by themselves, and faint whispers drifting through the dining area. Some have caught glimpses of shadowy figures seated quietly at tables, vanishing when approached. The most persistent presence is said to be that of a former chef who died unexpectedly decades ago, whose spirit is believed to watch over the kitchen and dining room. Paranormal investigators have documented sudden drops in temperature and mysterious flickering lights, adding to the restaurant's eerie ambience. Whether you're there for the food or the thrill, Gronka serves up more than just a meal. It offers a chilling glimpse into the past, where memories of the living and the dead coexist beneath its historic roof. Number 50. Morty's Pub. Morty's Pub is more than just a favorite local hangout. It's a hotspot for paranormal activity that draws ghost hunters and curious visitors alike. Located in the heart of Bayfield, this historic pub has long been known for strange occurrences, especially during the town's popular ghost walks. Patrons often report cold spots that chill to the bone, unexplained whispers that seem to circle the room, and ghostly figures who appear to join late-night conversations only to vanish without a trace. Bartenders have recounted glasses moving on their own and the sound of footsteps pacing the empty back rooms. Some say these spectral visitors are former customers or long-gone locals who never left. During ghost walks, the pub's eerie atmosphere intensifies. Flashlights flicker, shadows stretch oddly, and EMF meters spike unpredictably. Whether it's the lingering spirits of a bygone era or something darker, Morty's Pub serves up a mix of spirits you won't find on the menu, making every visit unforgettable for those brave enough to stay after dark. Subscribe for more haunted places in America.